I'm sitting here with a Los Angeles legend,
Oh
our
boy.
queen B Hall. She has done so much and brought so much to our community. It's time to give our queen her flowers, and I want everyone to hear from her what all she has contributed to our community. How you doing, Queen B?
Listen, thank you so much. But you know what? When you say I have contributed so much to the community, I look at the fact that it is the young people like you and your whole crew of Africa Town Coalition that your coalition has been doing it for the last, I think I've known you for 10 years now, or maybe 8. The bottom line is to see how you and your crew are out there um, letting people know that black people need those jobs in our community going down the metro line, that Crenshaw line. Black people need the jobs in the construction of all these buildings that are going up. And so the fact that you and your crew are now, not just are now, but have been for the good, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, making Africa Town at Leimert Park a reality. Because when I saw that proclamation from the councilman, finally a councilman who follows through. Now, the fact of the matter is, back when I got involved with trying to name that area after our ancestral heritage here, most people might not know that of the original settlers of Los Angeles, the majority of them were black. As a matter of fact, black people own Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, all the way down. There's a book, and it states and gives names of the various peoples who lived here. For instance, the Pennsylvania, when Cortez landed in 1521, and by the way, I don't start history 500 years ago. So to say that some people who came together 500 years ago are the original settlers of this land. When they came up north here into this area, they found black people in their communities. And in the black people were in their communities. They were, um, many of them were exterminated, genocide against the people, and cities were built on top of them. Totally documented. And when I mentioned the name Pennsylvania as one of them, many of those cities with the new construction pretty much kept the same name, Pasadena. So it is extremely important that we as a people, right now, this is year 2021, make sure that the Leimert Park area, the commercial district, is given a cultural name after our own people. And Africa Town now at Leimert Park is it. By the way, the fact that Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson issued that proclamation, I must let you know that we also had another councilman who was really just very, very supportive. This is a photocopy of a letter on city's letterhead from Councilman Parks. And he says here, it gives me great pleasure to write a letter of support to create an African village at Leimert Park. So the fact that it's not going to be called African Village is quite all right. Africa Town is cool. And the thing about it is, it says Miss B. Hall will oversee it. And just to let the audience also know that then former Congresswoman of the area, Diane Watson, wrote a letter of support. She even supports naming the greater area as the Pan African Cultural District. So, and these letters were back in 2006. I also like well, actually, Parks was in 2004. I like your audience to know that when we talk about a cultural tourism destination, cultural tourism creates more jobs than any other sector. Number one. And you know that our people need jobs. And number two, I want to halfway quote George Orwell in his book 1984. He says something to this effect: the greatest crime against any people is to deny and obliterate their history. And that is what the school system, the anything that you can think of, has been doing to our people. And what has it done to us as a people? Just like Marcus Garvey said, you've got to know your roots. And Amos Wilson, he quoted a study. He printed the results of a study at Boston University using Caucasian students, where they were hypnotized, and a group were told that they had no past, they had no present, they had no future. And the thing about it is, those people who had no past, they believed, acted just like people worldwide and even here in the United States, black people who don't know their past. They do not support each other. There are a lot of things that go with that. I don't want to go any further into that because it really is disturbing that they know, those who control the system, those who control land and so forth, know what they're doing when they try to keep us from controlling an area and having an area named after ourselves. And believe me, with the Councilman Parks and Congresswoman Diane Watson, yes, thank you, supporting it. We had meetings throughout the community, but the developers who control land use stopped it. And I'm not just making this up. It has been documented since there's a book that came out in about 1972 called Cities Destroyed for Cash. And just like what's going on with the city of Chicago right now, it is documented that all of that violence is orchestrated.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, let me show you. You might have seen this. Most of you didn't read a newspaper. This is an article in 2016. Can you see it? Where it says crime goes up to 16% in the city of LA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they did is they took 8 categories. This went up 2.3, this went up 2.1, all these categories, and added up the 8 categories and said that crime went up 16%. Anybody with a 3rd grade education know that once you add it up, what do you do then? You divide it by the numbers, the 8 into the 16, which means crime only went up 2% at the most. So they lie, and that is extremely important. And I'm going that way because I want your audience to understand that, number 1, jobs. Number 2, it's about having an area that we control where we can showcase our culture. Museums, entertainment, anything that you can think of, but primarily museums. 3rd thing, that it is a safe area. Not only is it a beautiful area, but it is a safe area. This is a business plan for the area. It's been approved by just about anybody that you can think of. And this is actually is on the model of a prospectus, but it is a document to show how everything can get paid for. Now, the Mert Park commercial district is only a couple of blocks. You know, you've seen the map of it, I'm sure. But just to give you an idea, the extreme importance that other people place on naming an area after their heritage. This is Filipino Town. Filipino Town is from Virgil all the way down to downtown LA. That street is called, well, it's right at Figueroa going west. And it's from Beverly Boulevard all the way over to Temple. Now, this big area, which is over 1.25 miles at least, has less than 15% Filipinos. However, Leimert Park area is at least 75 to 80% black. So people might say, well, hey, other people are coming into the area. It doesn't matter. We were here first, and we need a place named after our ancestral heritage. There are at least right now 14 cultural tourism destinations. Not just Filipino town, of course, you have Koreatown, Chinatown, and a number of other uh, locations. Um, but the but the beautiful thing about these other folks, and I applaud them very much, is let's just take little Bangladesh. Consider how many Bangladeshis there are in this city. Um,
Right.
but they have a little Bangladesh. They have that
Right.
sense, okay? Little Armenia. So, and like I said, there are at least 14. Go to my website, africatownnow.com. And
AfricaTownNow.com. It will be listed on the video.
yes, as a matter of fact, I am total support of these young brothers and sisters, Africa Town Coalition. And it states that on the website. I have to do a lot of updating on it and add some graphs and so forth, but it gives you a lot of information. The other key things that I like to just talk about since I have this opportunity is this. Um, if you hear the noise in the background, I should have hit my phone in another room. So I apologize for
You are
that.
in demand. We understand.
Well, no, that's probably a bill collector there.
Ha ha
But
ha.
either way, um, consider this. When you look at the 2010 census, what was the population, a black population in South LA? It shows over 800,000, something like 839,000, blah, blah, blah. When you look at the 2020 census, it is 300,000.
Mm.
Did you hear that?
Yep.
800 down to just over 300,000.
Right.
An over 50% decline in the black population. Not only where did they go, but what will it be in 2028 when the Olympics get here?
Right.
With the whiteification that's going on in this area, and yes, I said whiteification, not gentrification, because it is based upon racism that they are able to come here. Now, why do I say that? Because they have the incomes and they got their incomes from discrimination, job discrimination, discrimination in education to getting into these universities, discrimination in mortgages. They were able to get FHA mortgages when black folks couldn't. They had generational wealth from all of that. And we had generational poverty. So when they are able to come here with, consider this stat, it might be worse now, but I know about 5 or 6 years ago, white women between the ages of 36 and about 56 had a net worth of about 141,000. Black women between that same age, 36 to 56, had a net wealth of $5. Now, that is criminal.
Mm.
That is criminal. And that is racism. And that is why this whiteification of this area has got to be met with number one, naming that area Africa Town at Leimert Park so that we will have for at least the 99 next years an area that it is shown that we are here, even if they continue to get rid of us. Now, the other thing about the whiteification is this. People, black folks, who are very comfortable in their very nice homes and their very nice incomes and so forth, generally don't step up nowadays to do what members of the African Coalition does. You black folks who have made it, you think, you must get into the habit of supporting the young folks who are out here on this line doing what they're doing. They need financial support, they need political support, because the main reason why I wasn't able to pull off African Village back then is because I had nobody behind me that would give political support. living up in the hills and so forth, those who have positions. I gave presentations to many of your so-called leaders, and when I first gave it to them, they would say, "Oh yeah, behind this." Call them the next a couple of days, they wouldn't even take the call.
Mm.
And I know why. It is because those who control land, the developers, the big shots, have said, "Look, I'm going to cut you off at the knee if you leave this land alone." Now you might say, "Look, Ehal, you're being silly here," but you must consider there was an agency called the Community Redevelopment Agency for years, right? The Community Redevelopment Agency put billions of dollars in downtown LA, Santa Monica, all around for years. And the only area left for redevelopment was South LA. And what did the CRA do? It terminated its existence.
Mm.
So now that means the developers now can all come into South LA and buy up property, kick us out. You know, if you know the game plan, it was Dr. Martin Luther King who said that, and he said many, many things. Knowledge without action is stupidity. So leaving it with that.
So I am parked in the red. I do have to run. I will be back so we can get a lot more of your wisdom out to the public. I do want to add a couple more things to this real quick though. When was it you began your efforts in organizing the African Village um, over in the Leimert Park Commercial District?
Actually, I gave a presentation in 1999 to the Leimert Park Merchants Association, and I thought they would just follow through because I didn't live in the area. But since they didn't, it really started back in 2004.
When or do you recall when it was the other young brother, A1 Alfonso, was organizing to name the village Africa Town?
Around 2006 or 7 or 8, around there. As a matter of fact, since you're in a hurry, but I'd like to tell this quick story. I saw him riding a bicycle. He had stopped in Leimert Park, and I walked up to him being smart, whatever. I said to him, "Do you know what you young folks ought to be doing?" Isn't that silly? And he said, "What?" I said, "You ought to be out here making sure that this area is named the African Village of Leimert Park." He said, "I already have 1,000 signatures on a petition."
Ha ha.
Stop me, huh?
Yep, yep.
So yeah, go, folks.
So
Yes.
you have ran into a lot of the same folks in opposition we have run into.
Yeah.
Why do you think black people would name their organizations after a racist Leimert who had covenants to keep black people out? Why do you speculate black folks would do that?
Two things. One, they're getting paid, and number two, they're scared. Because if they really do follow up with being active, they'll lose the paychecks that they're getting. Whether it's commissions on the $31 million fiasco over there called the Vision Theater Project, or whether they're with the city and getting paid still after 30 years, or whether they retire from community build and getting pension and getting paid. They're getting paid. That's what it is. As a matter of fact, one last thing to end on is that stakeholders organization, that group of people needs to be terminated.
Exactly.
Because for the last, I don't know how many years, 2008, what have they done?
Right, right. And I would just like to add this in closing. So, I don't know if I shared this story with you, but it was way back in the 90s at the Good Life where we first met. And I usually performed, or not performed, I usually would rap. You know, we called it battling in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And the one and only time I and a couple other brothers got on stage, I was actually the third person that was supposed to rap. The first brother rapped. The second brother started rapping. He cursed, and you kicked us off stage.
Well, you know.
But that's how it goes. I was saying.
I'm sorry. No
But hey,
profanity.
you forced us to be more creative, because at that point, rap became about a lot of cussing and whatnot. But when folks came to the Good Life, they knew they had to come and express ourselves in a very positive and creative way, and I most definitely thank you for that and for everything you've been doing for our people.
Well, I thank you. I thank you, young people, and I totally loved the Good Life rappers and the whole group. Fantastic group of youngsters.
That's right. You have a lot of young folks who have moved on to do a lot of great things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's it.